My name is Monika Zovko and I'm an associate professor at the Faculty of Agriculture, University of Zagreb. My work is dedicated to water management in agriculture, whether we are dealing with water scarcity, as in the case of drought, or water excess, which involves drainage and the flood management. It is my pleasure to guide you into the world of an element in nature that is crucial to all life, yet often overlooked in our daily routine. This element is something we encounter and use every day, but we rarely pause to appreciate its characteristics and significance. This element is water. So I'd like to encourage you to reflect on water and its role in the life of plant, a fundamental part of our ecosystem. Just as we are largely composed of water, so are the plants. But unlike humans and animals, plants can't seek out water. Without it, they simply cannot survive. The process of photosynthesis, where plants convert sunlight into the food, is only possible with water. Besides being a key ingredient for photosynthesis, water helps transport nutrients from the soil, dissolving and carrying them to the above-ground parts of the plant for growth and development. Water also plays a role in the plant's stability. The pressure of water within the plant cells gives them structure, helping them stand upright. Have you ever noticed how a plant seems to wilt when it lacks water? Well, this is due to water scarcity and a decrease in internal pressure, which we call turgor, causing the plant to droop. Without water, plants couldn't cool themselves during high summer temperatures, grow, carry out chemicals reaction, or germinate seeds into the new plants. So, the next time you drink a glass of the water or water a plant, I urge you to remember how vital is it to our lives and life around us. So, this presentation explores innovative approaches to vineyard management with focus on sustainable water use in the area of climate change. Through a case study of Istrian vineyards in Croatia and the application of cutting-edge technologies like the drone, we will discover how we can adapt and secure the future of our wine industry. Join us on this journey toward a greener and more resilient future for viticulture. I would like to pose you one question. Consider and try to answer why most of the water absorbed by the plants is not actually used for growth and photosynthesis. Where does most of the water go? Climate change is driving more frequent and extreme weather events, including prolonged droughts and intense heat waves. These shifts in climate patterns are particularly challenging for agriculture, and vineyards are no exception. In vineyards, these severe conditions often result in increased water stress. Water stress occurs when the vines do not receive enough water to meet their physiological needs, which can lead to significant impacts on the plants. As a result, both the yield and the quality of grapes can be severely affected. For instance, lower yields and reduced fruit quality can translate to less wine production and diminished wine characteristics such as flavor and aroma. Water stress is just one of many challenges that vineyard managers must navigate in the changing climate. Adapting to this new environmental condition is crucial to ensuring the sustainability and productivity of vineyards in the future. In addressing these challenges that vineyards face due to climate changes, we must focus on developing innovative solutions that can help to mitigate the impacts of increasing temperatures, droughts, and other climate-related stresses. One key approach is the development of the new grape varieties that are more resilient to this changing condition. Breeding grape varieties with enhanced drought tolerance, heat resistance, and disease resilience is essential to maintaining productive vineyards as the climate continues to shift. Another important solution involves the development of new technologies for the vineyard management. For instance, precision irrigation systems can play a crucial role in reducing water use while ensuring the vines receive the optimal amount of water they need. These systems utilize sensors and data analysis to provide highly accurate irrigation, improving efficiency and helping vineyards cope with water scarcity. Both approaches, developing resilient grape varieties and advancing precision technology, necessary to ensure the sustainability and productivity of vineyard in the face of climate changes. Let's now look at the two case studies of two vineyards located in Istria, in Croatia, which are representative of different regions and grape varieties, both adapting to climate challenges. On the left, in image A, you can see a Syrah vineyard located in the Grimalda area of central Istria. The central region of Istria is characterized by its hilly terrain and more inland climate, which has some natural resilience to temperature extremes through still faces increasing drought stress. On the right, in the image B, we have a Teran vineyard located in Santa Lucia area in northwestern Istria. This area is closer to the coast and experiences different microclimatic conditions, which can include increased humidity but also severe heat waves during the growing season. Both of these vineyards are employing modern technologies, such as the use of drones seen in the images, to monitor the health of their vines and optimize vineyard management. These practices include precision agriculture techniques like soil moisture monitoring and variable rate irrigation, which help in managing water use efficiency. This case study highlights how different regions within the same area can experience varied climate challenges and how innovative practices can help vineyards adapt to these conditions. Imagine you are in charge of managing a vineyard in a climate that is becoming drier and hotter. How would you know how much water to use? When would be the best time to irrigate, and how could you ensure that every vine gets just the right amount of water without wasting any? This is exactly the challenge we addressed in this experiment. As you can see here, we used soil moisture sensors installed throughout the vineyard. These sensors constantly monitor the moisture levels in the soil and send real-time data. With this information, we can make precise decisions about irrigation and ensuring each vine receives exactly what it needs. This is the essence of precision irrigation, using water efficiently and only where it is needed. In this experiment, we applied 4 different irrigation levels: 25%, 50%, 75%, and up to 100% of the grapevine's evapotranspiration requirements. Evapotranspiration is an important concept that tells us how much water the vineyard needs, combining the water lost through evaporation from the soil as well as transpiration through the plants. By measuring and adjusting irrigation based on ET, we can simulate different scenarios to understand how the vines perform under various water conditions. For instance, when we apply 50% of ET, we are only providing half of the water the vines would need it under ideal conditions. This allows us to test how well the vines can cope with less water and whether this can even improve grape quality in some cases. On the right side, we also tested a terraced vineyard with two irrigation levels, 50% and 100% of evapotranspiration. Terraces present unique challenges due to their slope, and this setup helps us to understand how best to manage water in such environments. Through these experiments, we learned how precision agriculture technology, such as soil moisture sensors, can help us make smarter decisions, improve water use efficiency, and support sustainable vineyard management in the face of climate change. In modern vineyard management, various data are collected to optimize irrigation and ensure the best possible grape yield and the quality while conserving resources. Sensors play a critical role in this process. They are installed at the different depths, often reaching up to 60 centimeters in the soil, to continuously monitor soil moisture and temperature. These sensors provide real-time data at short intervals, typically every 10 minutes, allowing for precise monitoring of the vineyard's condition. By using this data, vineyard managers can make informed decisions about when and how much to irrigate, ensuring that the vines receive the right amount of the water based on their actual needs. In addition to the sensors, automated irrigation control systems have become a key component of efficient vineyard management. These systems are often connected to mobile applications, enabling remote control of irrigation. This means irrigation can be turned on or off from a distance based on the data collected from the field. The ability to automate and remotely manage irrigation helps reduce water waste and ensure that water is applied exactly when and where it is needed. These technologies, combined with careful field observation, form the backbone of the precision irrigation. By using tools like soil sensors and automated systems, vineyards can improve water use efficiency, which is crucial for sustainable agriculture, especially in regions facing water scarcity. Within a span of just 28 days from July 20 to August 70, noticeable difference between the treatments become evident. As you can see in these images, the impact of varying irrigation levels on the vineyard is clear. Let's take a closer look at the control group, which did not receive any irrigation. You will observe that the leaves have wilted significantly. This is a classic response to water stress, where the plant is not receiving enough water to maintain its normal functions. When a plant experiences water loss or insufficient water intake, it loses turgor pressure, which is the internal pressure that keeps plant cells firm. Without enough water, this pressure decreases, causing the leaves to droop and the overplant growth to slow down. In contrast, the plant that received 100% of their water requirements during this same period, as you can see in the top left image, show healthy, firm leaves with no signs of leaving. By comparing the different irrigation levels, we can observe how the plants respond to reduced water availability with gradual changes in leaf turgor and general plant appearance. This demonstrates how, even within a short period of time, water stress can have a significant impact on plant health and growth. These images were taken on July 8th, or 18 days after the irrigation period began on June 20th. By this point, the vine had already received different levels of irrigation based on their treatments. Let's take a closer look at the control group, which did not receive any irrigation. You will observe that the leaves have wilted significantly. This is a classic response to water stress when plant is not receiving water to maintain its normal function. When a plant experiences water loss or insufficient water intake, it loses turgor pressure, the internal pressure that keeps plant cells firm and upright. Without enough water, this pressure decreases, causing the leaves to droop and the overall plant growth to slow down. In contrast, the plant that received 100% of their water requirements during the same period show healthy, firm leaves with no signs of wilting. By comparing the different irrigation levels, we can observe how the plants respond to reduced water availability with gradual changes in leaf turgor and general plant appearance. This clearly demonstrates how, even within a relatively short period of time, water stress can have a significant impact on the plant health and growth. Now, let's look at how the vineyard appeared 15 days later. By this time, the difference between the treatments have become more pronounced. You can see that even though these rows are all under the same control treatment, the visual sign of water stress varies slightly between them. This shows how factors like orientation and exposure to sunlight can further affect how plants handle water stress. For example, vines facing south typically receive more direct sunlight, which can make the effects of the drought worse, leading to faster wilting and leaf damage. I'm showing you these differences to highlight the importance of having a good monitoring system in place for vineyard management. By paying attention to factors like orientation and exposure, we can better understand how environmental conditions interact with water management and make smarter decisions about irrigation. In this part of the experiment, we measured the water potential of the leaves in the vineyard using a tool called a pressure chamber. This method helps us understand the level of water stress that the plants are experiencing. The key thing to note is that the more negative the water potential values, the higher the level of water stress the plant is under. Essentially, a more negative value means that the plant is struggling to pull water up from the soil, indicating it's under significant stress. In our experiment, the control group and the vines that received only 25% of their water needs showed the most severe water stress, with very negative water potential value classified as severe to extreme water stress. On the other hand, the vines that received 50%, 75% and 100% of their water requirements showed much less stress, with their water potential values falling into the range of the mild to moderate water stress. This measurement allows us to quantify how well the vines are coping with different levels of irrigation, giving us deeper understanding of how water management affects plant health at a physiological level. Do you know how leaf water potential is measured? If you're curious and want to learn more, try searching for measuring leaf water potential in vines on the internet. Now let's look at the vineyards on appearance on August 3rd, which is nearly a month after the image we saw from July 8th. I hope you remember the appearance of the vineyard recorded on July 8th. For those who don't, feel free to briefly go back to slide 7. At that earlier point, we could already observe some initial signs of the water stress, especially in the control group. Over the course of the month, those differences have become even more noticeable. In the image on the left, you can clearly see how the control group which received no irrigation has suffered significantly from water stress. These leaves are dry and wilting with brown edges, and some leaves have already started to fail off. The lack of water has also affected grape development, leading to smaller, less healthy clusters. In contrast, the fully irrigated vines on the right, receiving 100 of their water needs, show no sign of water stress. The leaves are green and firm, and the grape clusters are larger and healthier. The difference in plant health and the grape quality between the two treatments is substantial, showing how critical proper irrigation is to maintaining vineyard productivity. By comparing these images from August 3rd to those from July 8th, we can see the cumulative effects of water stress over time. This demonstrates how within just a few weeks, the lack of irrigation can severely impact both vine appearance and their ability to produce high-quality grapes. Now let's move on to the use of drones for monitoring the status of grapevines. This part of our research was conducted in collaboration with our colleagues from the Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computing. In this image, you can also see Mr. Kozlovic, one of the most renewed winemakers in Istria, who was very interested in how drones and modern technologies could be integrated into his vineyard operations. Drones are a key tool in modern vineyard management, allowing us to gather data from large areas quickly and efficiently. With the help of drones, we can capture high-resolution images that provide insight into plant health, water stress, and even early signs of disease, all without disturbing the vines. This technology helps vineyard managers make more informed decisions, improving both productivity and sustainability. The end users of our research, such as vineyard owners and winemakers, play a vital role in guiding how we apply these technologies. Their feedback ensures that our research has practical, real-world application that can benefit the industry. In this part of the project, we used advanced imaging technology to monitor the vineyards, and these cameras were mounted on the drone, which you saw in the previous slide. See, this is why you can't lose focus during the presentation. Specifically, we combined two cameras from the Mica Sense dual imaging system, Red Edge MX and Red Edge MX Blue. So, what do we mean by advanced imaging technology? This refers to sophisticated camera systems that can capture much more than just standard visible images. These cameras are capable of detecting and measuring wavelengths of light that our eyes can't see, such as infrared and near-infrared light. This type of imaging allows us to gain deeper insight into the plant health, soil condition, and environmental factors that would otherwise remain hidden. These particular cameras are multispectral, meaning they capture data across several different wavelengths of light, both visible, like that we see with our eyes, and non-visible, such as near-infrared, which is very useful for assessing plant health. Mounted on the drone, this multispectral camera can record a total of 10 different spectra, which helps detect subtle changes in the vineyard that aren't visible to the naked eye. For example, we can monitor plant vigor, detect water stress, and even identify early signs of disease before they become visually apparent. Essentially, this imaging technology acts as an early warning system, enabling vineyard managers to take timely actions to maintain plant health and optimize productivity. This technology provides the same type of the data that satellites like Sentinel-2A and Landsat-8 offer, but at a much finer scale, making it highly suited for detailed localized vineyard monitoring. Have you heard about hyperspectral cameras? Hyperspectral cameras take this technology even further, capturing hundreds of different wavelengths, giving us even more detailed information about plant and soil health. Okay, we got a drone. Well, actually, borrowed it from our kind colleagues. We mounted the multispectral cameras we talked about earlier. Now what's next? How do we effectively capture the entire vineyard and make sure we don't miss a spot? This is where our autonomous technology comes in. But before we dive in, let me ask you, how would you explain the concept of autonomous in this context? Think about it before a moment. In simple terms, autonomous means something that operates independently without human intervention. In the case of our drone, once we program the flight paths and parameters, the drone follows them on its own, without anyone controlling it manually. It knows where to fly, how to capture the data, and how to return to the starting point, all by itself. Very clever, isn't it? This autonomy is what allows us to efficiently collect data, like you see here, with minimal effort and maximum precision. As you can see on this slide, we planned the drone's flight path using the program PHOC 2.1 autonomous flight system. The flight trajectories were pre-planned to ensure that every part of the vineyard was captured with enough overlapping, in this case 60% overlap of the territory. This overlap is crucial for creating detailed and accurate maps of the vineyard from the multiple angles. According to several authors, a minimum of 60 to 70% overlap is recommended for capturing vegetation accurately, as it ensures comprehensive coverage and reduces the likelihood of data gaps, especially in complex terrains like vineyards. The autonomous flight were conducted on June area in a short time while providing precise data for further analysis. But regardless, never take your eyes off the drone, because something can always go wrong. Don't worry, those who decide to get a drone license will learn more about this safety precaution in detail. Here we see the drone in action, flying over a terraced vineyard. These terraces are typical for vineyards in hilly regions, and as you can imagine, managing water and soil in such landscape present unique challenges. Using a drone like this allows us to capture detailed images of entire vineyard, even in areas that are difficult to access by foot. This technology provides us with a bird's eye view of the landscape, allowing for more efficient monitoring and management. Whether it's for detecting variation in plant health, assessing water stress, or mapping out soil characteristics, this aerial perspective gives us a powerful tool for vineyard management. The terraces you see here can create microenvironments where factors like sunlight exposure and water distribution vary significantly. With the help of the drone and multispectral imaging, we can capture these subtle differences and make more informed decisions about irrigation, about fertilization, and other management practices. As you saw earlier, these drones can fly autonomously, covering the entire vineyard with precision and ensuring no area is left unchecked. This is a great example of how technology is transforming agriculture, but particularly challenging environments like this. Now that we captured all this data using the drone and multispectral cameras, the real work begins, data processing. So let's start. We have to create spectral 3D point clouds. The first step is building 3D models of the vineyard from the image we have captured. We do this using photogrammetry, a technique that stitches together images to create a detailed 3D representation of the vineyard. This 3D model isn't just a visual map. It contains spectral information, allowing us to assess the vineyard's health in 3 dimensions. Second, we have to generate 2D maps of the vegetation indices. Once we have the 3D data, we can create 2D maps based on vegetation indices. These indices help us to understand the health and condition of grapevines, whether they are experiencing stress, nutrient deficiency, or even potentially affected by disease. But it's not enough to just map everything we have to focus on the right data. We have to include only the index value related to the grapevines themselves, filtering our pixels related to soil and other non-grapevine vegetation. This ensures that the data we are analyzing is highly specific and relevant for vineyard management. Finally, we have to extract pixels related to the soil and inter-row vegetation to get an even clearer picture. By segmenting based on both vegetation index values and the 3D data, we ensure that we are focusing only on what really matters the vine. In short, we have to transform all this raw data into acceptable information that help us make better decisions about the health and management of the vineyard. Now we are looking at NDVI values, which means normalized difference vegetation index, which is a key indicator of vegetation health. NDVI values are higher for areas with dense and healthy vegetation. This index helps us analyze not just vegetation growth, but also biomass production and the plant stress, including the water stress. In this experiment, we measured NDVI values for different irrigation treatment. As you can see, there is statistically significant difference between the control group and the irrigation treatment variations. The NDVI values were much lower in the V1 and the V2 irrigation treatments, those that received 25% and 50% of evapotranspiration respectively, compared to the V3 and V4, which received 75% and 100% of their water requirements. These differences are crucial because they show how the amount of water provided affects plant vitally, with higher irrigation levels clearly leading to healthier, denser vegetation. The maps you see on the right side of the slide visually represent these differences in the vineyard, where the greener areas indicate higher NDVI values, reflecting better plant health. So, by tracking NDVI over time, we can monitor how well the plants are coping with irrigation treatments, allowing for better decision-making when it comes to managing water resources in the vineyard. It is important to note that NDVI isn't the only index available. There are many indices developed for different purposes, each combining different wavelengths to assess specific aspect of the plant health, such as the water content, nutrient levels, or early disease detection. From our spectral data, in addition to NDVI, we also calculated GNDVI, or Green Normalized Difference Vegetation Index. GNDVI is similar to NDVI but focuses on the green and the red bands of the spectrum, which help us assess plant health, more specifically in the terms of chlorophyll concentration and water stress as well. As you can see on this slide, the GNDVI values are compared across the different irrigation treatments. Higher GNDVI values indicate healthier plants, while lower values reflect increased water stress. The control and lower irrigation treatments clearly show lower GNDVI values, indicating higher levels of water stress. By using both NDVI and GNDVI, we gain a deeper understanding of the vineyard's condition, allowing us to fine-tune irrigation schedules and improve water use efficiency. Now let's take a closer look at this slide and what it can teach us. We have used NDVI to assess the health and the vigor of the Syrah grapevines on this terraced vineyard. And you can see a range of the values between 0.6 up to 0.8. But what do these numbers tell us? NDVI is a tool we use to measure the greenness or vitality of the plants. And in this case, it shows us that different parts of the vineyard vary quite a bit. One key takeaway is the effect of the vineyard's layout. The vines planted on the edge of the terraces tend to have slightly lower NDVI values compared to those on the slopes. Why is that? Think about how water flows and accumulates on slope versus the edges, or how sunlight might affect different areas. These factors can influence plant health. So, what's the lesson here? The vineyard isn't uniform, and that's important for us to remember when managing it. This is why precision agriculture is so valuable. It helps us target specific areas that might need more water or more care, rather than treating the entire vineyard by the same way. By understanding differences across the terrain, we can make better decisions for healthy maintaining vines. In practical terms, what would you do if you notice certain rows have lower NDVI values? How could you adjust your irrigation or management practices to address this? Let's take a moment to reflect on what we have learned through this lecture. We have covered the use of the drones and multispectral sensor as power tools for the monitoring vineyard health. We explored how NDVI data can help us identify areas experiencing water stress, enabling us to fine-tune irrigation schedules and improve overall water use efficiency. Not only does this approach save time and labor, but it also contributes to healthier vines and better yields. But however, we didn't just learn about the technology itself, also uncovered some important questions. How do we continue to address the challenge of heterogeneity in the vineyard? What other indices and technology could help us make even more informed decisions? And as we look to the future, what additional research could further optimize precision agriculture practices? There is still so much to explore and improve, and I encourage all of you to think about where this technology can take us. What would you want to investigate in the future? How can we continue to push the boundaries of what's possible in vineyard management? But before you start reflecting on everything we have learned today, let me remind you that the grapes we grow ultimately end up in the bottle and in the glass. At the end of our research, we didn't just evaluate yields. We also took the time to assess the quality of each irrigation variant because it is the quality that truly defines the final product. After all, we are not just growing grapes, we are making wines. And if you have any questions or want to dive deeper into any of the topics we covered today, feel free to reach out. My email is listed on the first slide, and I'm always happy to discuss further.